Hey guys, Matt Dean here from Dean Family Acres, and today we're at Lushacres, which is on Thornwell Children's Home, and we came on a tour for an ag day, and we're getting to see some stuff for Lawrence County today. So hopefully you guys can maybe check out some of this video and you learn something. I know we're trying to learn something too. They've got 300 something acres here, just I think inside and just outside the city of Clinton. So pretty cool situation. They're really trying to grow things and expand their farm, and hopefully you guys learn a little bit. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Dean Family Acres.
This is Brandon Bowers. He's, as far as I know, the farm director of Thornwell, so he's allowed us to come out here. He's going to do a tour and tell us a little bit about the farm.
Brandon Bowers. I'm the director of farm operations for Lushacres Farm at Thornwell. Thornwell's been around since 1875 and primarily worked as an orphanage at that point. And the land here has been in that process since then, since 1875. So since 2019, really coming up with the full 10-year plan. What does the land have? Well, we did lots of soil samples. We did lots of just looking at the different land, looking at it throughout the different stages. Kind of going through, starting to clean up some stuff, but very few little things at that point. But then we started to list out, okay, well, what are some really high volume crops that we can grow, and whether we have the suitable land to do that. And so we started to break the farm up into smaller pieces, and then analyzing it in individual sectors or individual little segments. And so then we found out, well, we have a list of these high dollar per acre ideas or crops or abilities of what we can use. Do we have the land that we can support those ones? So that weeded it down some more. Do we have the ability that we can scale up if we needed to? So we narrowed it down some more. And then narrowed it down even more by saying, okay, well, if we really want to do the agritourism piece, how can we put some sort of festival around each one of these kind of ideas? And so that's what you'll see, and we'll talk a little bit more about is, the Christmas trees. That's something that's kind of out of the box, but that gives us an opportunity to do something in the wintertime. And then in the first year, here we have our full-on market. And we opened that. This building, the fencing, the entranceway, as of May, wasn't even here. It was still chain link, old fence on the road, no parking area, none of that. And so then we were able to bring that in, open up the entrance, put the parking down, set the market, finish out the market, and we were open by June 19th. So you kind of think it's just really high, fast-paced stuff. Sort of a recap of how did it get started, how do we get back going, because even folks that are still right here in this community or right around us, either never knew the farm was here, even though it's as large as it is. If you didn't come down this street, there's no other place on the farm that you could see the property. And on campus side, it's kind of tucked back away there too. Some people know there's a lot of the barns and stuff up on campus, but really not what it is. Those have been our plans. That's what we're doing. A lot of the land is actually not suitable for a different crop, so we've got a lot of livestock that we can utilize it for, and so we'll be moving around with a lot more livestock. And all of that stuff will be produced, and then us to be able to sell it through our market or through wholesale to either restaurants, other farm market operations, other places that are using it. And so we did a lot of that this past year with our crops.
This is kind of where everything happens as far as the specialty crops and the seasonal produce goes. The majority of our specialty crops are out here. Right next to you, we put in 200 blueberry bushes last fall. We'll end up working up to 1,000, so you can see the full width of this plot that's plowed out. This will all be 1,000 blueberry bushes. It'll be primarily U-pick. then we'll sell a lot of it through our market as well. Adjacent to this plot, so that bears patch of field right there, that'll end up being blackberries and some other assorted berries as well. So we'll kind of increase the variety that we're able to offer to the public. Then behind me over here, so we call these rotational crop plots. So you see there's 4 big squares out here. Basically, those squares are broken up into half-acre plots. A full plot is about 1.25 acres. And so they're all set up to be irrigated. Any way I want to put a drop of water on that place, I can put it in any form, manner, however, whatever shape I can. So we got those plots set up where we can rotate our seasonal produce down through there. We'll end up adding additional acreage as we go on the need more. Then on the other side over there, you see kind of those little dots and stuff. And we've got Christmas trees planted out there, so we're primarily going to grow Leland cypress, but we'll have a few pines out there as well. And then we'll also probably supplement with Fraser firs as well. But this is the majority of where all our specialty crops are grown. The tea will end up going on the other side of the pond, adjacent to those pond houses. That'll be more for ornamental as well as whatever tea we harvest off of that as well. It won't be a massive part of it, but it's kind of something that's a little bit unique that no other farms are doing around us, so it allows us to stand out a little bit. Y'all have any questions about this area right here?
I think somebody up near Table Rock's doing tea, aren't they?
That's who got us started. That's who got us into it. We bought all of our plants from them.
Cool.
They're pretty smart folks over there. They know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Hope we can emulate some of that.
So when you say seasonal, you just mean things like onions, carrots.
Yeah, so we'll be planting. We'll start planting everything in March, April, and then we'll. So this year we'll have a couple varieties of potatoes, green beans, okra, squash, several different types of squash, several different types of heirloom tomatoes, as well as we're going to grow a bunch of just our standard round red tomato. Batter Boys is the primary tomato we grow. We're growing a lot of sweet corn. So this patch right here will be 1.25 acres of sweet corn. Growing in there, growing a couple different varieties there. Watermelons, cantaloupes. Any of y'all buy a cantaloupe from Burden's? Y'all know Burden's 2 is. Anybody buy a cantaloupe there last year? That was our cantaloupes.
Oh, okay.
So we sold them a lot of cantaloupes last year. We'll probably end up raising close to 5,000 cantaloupes out here this coming year. Watermelons, grow 3 different varieties of watermelons. This year we're adding a yellow watermelon. So we're just trying to grow a lot of different things that will help us stand out as well, and make it a little bit higher quality than you can get in the grocery store. Any other questions?
Y'all grow on plastic or do you cultivate?
We grow on plastic for a vegetable crop. And that's just mainly because I don't have the labor to come pull weeds. So at least with plastic I can mow down the middle of it and be done with it. So it's just a lot cleaner, easier to grow.
We'll make the decision, okay, well, we'll take the Christmas trees out, put more blueberry. You know, that kind of ideas of like, well, we have that flexibility and we're trying to keep really, really good records of all of it, of kind of each individual enterprise. And how can we kind of make sure that this enterprise is going to be profitable? And how can we make sure that like each part is its own, kind of its own entity? Even to the fact, it's not exactly like this, but even to the fact of like, Jacob is going to kind of sell all of his stuff wholesale, but he's kind of, one of his clients is Kurt in the market, and so that kind of is a way to for us to kind of help to make sure we're working that, and that's kind of the way we're kind of coming about it, especially being as new to a lot of the products and a lot of the stuff it is. We're trying to make sure that we do the best we can and what we can, the highest, I always go back to that, but the highest and best use of each thing. So we'll be having more of those agritourism style events. We'll be end up with some other little ancillary places around the month. Oh, sorry.
We actually were out in another car. So I don't know what kind of stuff, but I think the walking and then down at the far end of where the parking area is here, where those trees are.
Oh yeah, and I talked to Grace about it. I want to try to do it again.
So these machines, anybody want to guess what these cost?
Oh,
It's
about 500,000, maybe 750.
Between 250 and 500, depending on the size and all of that. So, yeah. And so that's how the process works. So he'll cut the trees and leave them in bunches throughout the woods. And then you can see right there, that's a skidder. And so you can see him running around, but it's got the grapple on the back with the boom. And so the grapple will go and grab the bunch of trees that he's dropped down and then drag them back up here to the deck, the knuckle boom, and we'll walk over in a minute and see, and then they'll take the trees and load them onto the trucks. And so I put in here, but it's always interesting. People, you see the trucks every day on the road just riding around the county. And there's several manufacturers in the county. We've got West Fraser that makes OSB for houses and construction. And then Kinards has a chip mill where the wood goes. It's chipped up there, and then it's hauled up to Canton, North Carolina. And in Canton, the Evergreen Packaging Mill makes food-grade paper. So like orange juice containers, milk containers, Chick-fil-A boxes, Hardee's boxes. That's what's made out of that. And then there's mills. I mean, they're all over the place. We've got 97 primary mills in South Carolina and almost 800 secondary product mills. So it's a huge industry in the state. And on that sheet too, they've done all this studies that forestry has a $21.1 billion impact to the economy of South Carolina. So it's the #1 harvested crop. It's the #1 export out of Charleston. It's the I think 2 employer, it's the #1 manufacturing employer in the state as well. And I read that yesterday, which is interesting, that 4% of employed people in South Carolina get their salary from a forestry job. So 4 out of every 100 people. So it's a huge industry, and it's something that we're just talking, a lot of times it's taken for granted. There's just trees everywhere. And the Southeast is one of the unique spots, the Southeast and the Pacific Northwest, where we have some of the most productive timberlands in the country. And 60% of all forest products, or forest volume in the country, 60% of it comes from the Southeast alone. And I think South Carolina produces more, I read this too, South Carolina produces more, the Southeast produces more volume than any other country in the North. So we have extremely productive, we have excellent markets, and obviously very business favorable environment for
Alright guys, so we're out here at Belfast Plantation, and they are taking out a few trees amongst the forestry operations. So hopefully you guys get to see a little bit more and learn a little bit more about Lawrence County and forestry.